everybody. I wanted to jump on here real quick before I wrapped up today on this Friday, and wanted to share a ridiculously simple hack for keeping your podcast listeners coming back again and again. When you hear this, you're probably going to think, gosh, that is ridiculously simple. And here's another thing. It's not my strategy. It was actually shared with me by one of my podcast guests on Infinite Impact Radio, a podcast I just launched this week. So go check it out. It's over on Apple Podcasts. But my guest was Neil Martin, who is a wonderful person, great entrepreneur, somebody I consider a friend and a mentor at the same time. And he told me this when we were having our discussion, and it just made so much sense. The ridiculous simple strategy is consistency. But here's the thing, it's probably not what you're thinking, right? We know, and I believe my business partner in the One Podcast Away Challenge, Parker Woodward, brought this up last night in a Facebook Live in a group that he was in where he was teaching some strategies. And I'm pretty sure he brought up the word consistency in regards to being consistent with the output of your podcast. By doing so, it's going to help you continue to grow your listenership by consistently putting out content. And that makes 100% sense, and I totally agree with it. And here's the little twist that Neil put on it where he told me. He said, you should be consistent not only with the amount of content you're putting out, but be consistent with your podcast. Now, what he meant by this, and he went on to explain it, was if you start a podcast and you do 5 episodes that are 12 minutes long each, around that little amount of time, 12 minutes, right? Then, say episode 6 comes along, and all of a sudden you do a podcast episode that is 25 minutes. Then the next one, 17. Then back to 12 and 12. And then all of a sudden 4, and then up to 45 minutes. What happens is that it is so interrupting in your listeners' mind. They're used to seeing, because generally if the first 5 or 12 minutes, that is an imprint on them that they say, hey, I like this. It's 12 minutes. I've got 12 minutes of my time. I enjoy it. And then all of a sudden, you hit them with a 45-minute podcast, and it just, boom, snaps into them and turns them off. They quit listening, right? So you want to be consistent. And I want to add something on top of that. Not only consistent in time, but consistent in your message, consistent in the tone of your podcast. So if you're doing an interview podcast and you have a theme, keep that theme, because people want that theme. That's why they're listening to you over and over and over again. So don't find yourself being inconsistent with your message, with the theme. And when I mean theme, even just like the overall tone of your podcast. For instance, I have another podcast where I share my journey, right? I'm sharing, it's basically almost like a personal diary, but the tone is always the same. It's a teaching tone. It's the tone of, come along with me on this journey. We're going to go on it together. Now, what if all of a sudden I switched from come along with me on this journey to, hey, I'm up here, I'm successful, and I'm going to talk to you like you're below me? That's going to turn off a lot of people, right? So don't position yourself as the person that wants others to share that path with you, that journey where you're going to help them along the way and share what you learn as you learn it so that you can bring them along with you. Don't go from that to the guru, the expert, who is sitting up here sharing all these strategies and tossing them down like, here, take my scraps, and maybe you'll be up here one day. Obviously, I don't think that approach is going to work good anyway, but I hope you get what I am talking about here. So I'm going to leave it at that, but I want you to think about that, right? It's not just putting out consistent content on a regular basis. Very important for growth, and very important for your listeners to know that, hey, every Wednesday, every Tuesday and Thursday, I can expect a new episode. Very important. But also, like what Neil Martin said, don't get inconsistent with the length of your podcast. Because I will tell you, that is one thing that I love about some of the podcasts that I listen to is that I know 7-8 minutes, I'm on it. Every episode that comes out is 7 to 8 minutes. It's something that I'm aspiring to do with my new podcast, try to keep it to 20 to 25 minutes. It's been a little bit up and down here in the beginning, but I'm going to get it in that range, and I'm going to keep it there. I'm just dialing in my interview style, dialing in the way I bring out the questions with my interviewees, and dialing in the fact that I hate to interrupt when they're telling such an amazing story, but I have to learn how to guide the conversation a little bit better. So it's something that I'm learning. So when I learn that, I will share it with you, because it's really important for me to share the things that I learn as I learn them with you as well. But it's really important, like Neil said, get people used to a specific amount of time that they are going to give you. Time is valuable, and they value their time. So they are giving you a gift of their time. So don't abuse it, right? Give them value in a specific amount of time. Get them used to that segment, that episode being a specific amount of time, and you're going to hook them so that they continue to come back and back and back again. As soon as you disrupt that pattern, you're going to disrupt your listeners as well. So think about that. Consistency is key. And sometimes the key is different than the one you were thinking about. Everybody have a great weekend. I'll tell you what, if you're thinking about launching a podcast, if you're thinking about relaunching a podcast, if you're looking for ways to monetize your podcast, I'm going to drop my link down below. I am jumping on a lot of calls lately with entrepreneurs just to help them out, no matter where they are in the journey. Sometimes that means I give them 2 or 3, strategies and tactics, and then say, hey, you should go talk to this guy. He's amazing, because that would be perfect for you. So this isn't a sales pitch. Go check out some of my reviews on my page. You will see I do not use this time as a pitch. I use it as a time to give you at least 2 to 3 tactics that you can walk away with immediately, no matter where you are in this journey of podcasting. I believe podcasting is going to be the thing to take you over the top in your business, and I want to share and help in any way I can. So I'll post a link below. We can jump on a quick call. Doesn't matter if you don't have a podcast, if you have one that's been going for a year, or if you've just sort of lost interest, but now you want to reignite it and relaunch it. I'm here to help. Please don't hesitate. Just reach out to me. The link's going to be in the first comment below. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a wonderful weekend.